Hey there friends, it's Mark from Men Who Bullet. Thanks for hanging out with me today for this video where we're going to be doing a 1-year review of using the Plotter 6-ring binder system. This modular system has been fantastic to use throughout this year, and I was very honored about a year ago to be asked to be part of a test group as they were bringing this brand from Japan into the US. And as someone who loves notebooks, who loves modularity, who loves paper, I was really thrilled with getting the opportunity to share my feedback as I use this notebook throughout this year. So I wanted to share that feedback with you today. One thing that I completely forgot about, and I'm sorry to anyone who's been waiting for this, is a follow-up video. I should have been doing these throughout the year just to kind of let you know how I've been using it, because what I realized is that buying a plotter system isn't something you necessarily do on a whim. Depends on your budget, depends on those pockets, on what you can do, because the plotter system is expensive. The notebook itself, I have the narrow size here in the Pueblo leather, and this runs for $155. And there are more expensive as you go up in size and also quality, and there's some less expensive ones as well, just under $100 as well. So this isn't necessarily something you're just like, I'm gonna buy a plotter today and see how it goes. Some people want to be researched and they want to know how others enjoyed it. So apologies for the video, but I promise you it is definitely worth the wait. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad. There's no ugly. This is just an absolutely stunning binder, and the way that their brand overall looks is fantastic. But I'll share my thoughts, my feelings, and my experience in using Plotter this year. So when I first got the Plotter binder, I also got a few other things with this as well to try out as an entire system. And I'm glad that I did, because I have absolutely loved some of the accessories and the refills that come with Plotter. So when I got this to begin with, I got the binder itself. I got some of the inserts that have like the band that keep this thing closed. I'll tell you my absolute favorite thing about this entire system are these pieces of paper right here. The little tiny folders, and they're called project managers. And what's so cool about these is that they do help you kind of compartmentalize inside of your plotter. It's not just one big open notebook. You could use it that way if you wanted to. But these have been amazing for me as I've put different ideas together on freebies and blog posts. And even as I was planning for the creative block party this spring, these were indispensable, and I absolutely love them. Now, along with those, I also got the 2mm grid paper. I got the plain paper in here as well. And I also got the to-do list. And these have been really fantastic, both in how they held up. The fronts of some of these have come off because I've ripped out so many pieces of paper and used them inside of my plotter. But I really love having just different types of paper that I can put inside of here as I need it, and I don't have to fill it all up at once. I do have some qualms with how much space these things can actually hold, because I'm so used to having everything all together at one time, but we'll talk about that in the next part. Right now, we're talking about the good things. So when the brand itself was presented to me, it was presented as a brand for creators, for idea generators, to pull things together and get your creativity going to create a better future. And it says that all on the website, plotterusa.com. You can read all about the brand. And when I was taking all of this in, I kept that in the back of my mind the entire time that I use this, because the way my brain usually works is something has to be all or nothing. And it's rare that it's ever in between. I think it's been my biggest problem with trying to use different notebooks or different systems along with bullet journaling. But I always kept in the back of my mind that I don't need to use this every single day. It's here for me when I need it, and I don't need to feel guilty about not actively using it. And there was really no need for me to do that. I wasn't using it as a daily planner. I really was using it as a place to collect ideas. Now, since that time when I originally got that, they did send me some other goodies, which I was very thankful for. They did send me one of their mechanical pencils, which is just an absolute stunning mechanical pencil. They also sent me a refill storage container. And this was really awesome and has been really awesome for me, because whenever I'm done with an idea or I don't need to worry about it anymore, I can still keep it organized in something and always come back to it later on if I need to. The other thing that they sent me were the agenda pages, so the calendar pages, and this has been really helpful for me. There's not a whole lot of space to write inside of these because of the narrow size, but it was enough for me to jot down an idea or a note or any type of thing I needed to remember around an idea. For myself, I really used this recently and will continue to use this as I plan for the creative block parties and kind of organize and get those things together. It's been incredibly helpful for that. What I've loved most about Plotter is that I can grab this and just start jotting down notes or even start notes outside of my Plotter and then bring them back in. That's why these refills are super handy. I've actually just kept them right on my desk throughout this year, and I just open one up and tear out a piece of paper, write down my note or whatever is going on, and then pop it back into my project planner inside of Plotter. And it's worked out really well for me. I will tell you though that sometimes it's a bit annoying, and that's just because I don't love to have things like all over the place. Sometimes there's definitely organized chaos on my desk. I am not going to deny that. But when I had three of these different ones on my desk, sometimes they would get scattered around or fall off. And then I was like, okay, well, now that I have this refill holder, I'm just going to put them inside of here. But the problem is that the way that this thing works is that the rings on these holds it in here. So then I had to open this up, take things out. It got to be a lot, and I just started to kind of resent using them. So I took a few sheets out of each one of these refills and put it into my plotter. And then I was kind of good from there. I didn't feel like I needed to fool with a lot of things to get into there. But because of the size, regardless of the height or the width of your actual plotter binder, there isn't a whole lot of room inside of these. The rings are pretty small, especially if you're used to using a larger notebook. And that's one of the things that I will say about the plotter is that I didn't feel like I could really fill this up. I felt like I could only use it for small little bits of time. And then the idea would be to take out my project planners, put them in storage, and then start new ideas in here again. And what I don't love about that idea is that if I have this with me and I need to reference something and I'm not at home, I'm kind of losing out a little bit here. The idea, though, would be that I would generate these ideas and keep them all together, and then when I really didn't need them at all is when I would take them out. Or because it is a ringed binder and not a normal notebook, I could take out the pages that I need to continue using and then archive the ones that I don't. When they sent me this notebook, they said they were going to send me this narrow because they already knew that I had used A5 size notebooks for as long as I have. And they wanted to see how I would use this. And I'll tell you is that it has been nice to jot down some ideas, but I kind of wish that I had the A5 size one. I'm a lefty, ring binders usually don't work well for me. Luckily, because these are so small, I'm okay. But I like to write a lot, and my handwriting is kind of big. I did feel like I had to write kind of small inside of here because I only had so much space, and I didn't want to have to use 5 or 6 pages for a 30-minute meeting. So I did feel like I was restraining myself a little bit from what I was writing down or how big I was writing. With the inserts themselves, I found that I used the 2mm grid the absolute most because I felt like this was the most versatile paper that I could use inside of here. The plain paper, while great, I needed a little bit of structure. I'm not doing a lot of like doodling or drawing, and anytime I did write notes on those, they kind of went all over the place. So this really helped keep me together. Now the 2mm grid is pretty small as well, and like I said, I felt like I was kind of constrained to the space that I was using because of that. One of the other ones that I did really love though was the to-do list. I didn't totally love it, but I loved most of it. And the reason that I didn't necessarily love it is actually because of the scale over on the right-hand side that went between 0 and 100. I wanted to use it. You can see that I tried to use it in a few spots, but when is something really 25% done or 75% done? I just like that it is done or it's not done. And with having that space over there, I really did want to use it, but I didn't have any type of way to kind of gauge what does 25, 50, or 75% mean. It's 0 or 100 for me most of the time. So having this, while I think it's very neat, wasn't necessarily very useful for me, but it could be for somebody else that likes to use gauges like that. The paper itself was okay. As someone who loves nice thick paper where I can't see through the other side of the paper, there are times when the pen that I was using would kind of ghost to the other side. I didn't have any issues with bleed through or anything like that. It is really good paper, but the ghosting just bothers me sometimes. It's probably best maybe that I didn't have the larger size because really I am just jotting down notes and I don't have to really reread long form content. through the pages as I do inside of my bullet journal, perhaps. But this one just was something that I just saw, that I noticed. And for anybody who may be thinking about that or concerned about the paper quality, it's good paper quality. Just know that you will likely have some ghosting, but you can write with any type of pen inside of this paper, which I did enjoy. When asked about the quality, the make, the color, kind of the overall offering, I give this 100% thumbs up. Awesomeness, amazingness. As a brand, Plotter is all about quality. They're about making sure that you have what you need to get the job done, and I absolutely love that. You have so many different options with the type of papers that you're using, the format of those, how you set up your binder. You really have a lot of different options for yourself, and as someone who loves their options, I did really enjoy that. The binders themselves, I have to tell you, didn't love. And the reason is that I can appreciate how small they are, because as a lefty myself, I've had a horrible relationship with ring binders throughout my entire education. But with them being so small, there were times when I would open up the rings and kind of a few things would pop out when I really just needed a piece of paper or one of the project managers and the things that were inside of there. It also was difficult sometimes to load everything inside of there and close it. Some papers would come out of the rings, or they wouldn't quite fit in just right. And while most of the time I was just sitting at my desk leisurely taking notes, if I was on the go trying to make this happen, I don't know that I'd be a happy camper. I'd probably get a little bit frustrated with it. Just something to keep in mind, and also really to think about how much you're loading up this as well. Perhaps that was my problem. Maybe I put too many pieces of paper inside of here and it wasn't meant to have that many, and that's why things were kind of coming out of sorts a little bit. But if you are interested in the plotter, it's just something to think about on how much you're actually keeping inside of the binder itself. One of the questions that I am asked about this is, Mark, if this wasn't given to you, would you actually ever purchase Plotter itself? And my answer is not as straightforward as you probably want it to be. I feel like if I was going to purchase Plotter, I would have to have a very dedicated reason for purchasing that. It is beautifully made. The construction is fantastic. The materials are meticulously looked at and thought about. Everything put together inside of here is just amazing. It is a beautiful luxury brand. And that's how I think I would really refer to it, is as a luxury brand. This is not something you're going to find for $5 in a bargain bin anywhere. This is going to be in a premium store. These are premium materials that are being used, and therefore the price should reflect that in this as well. I don't disagree with it, but I personally feel like I would really need to have a reason to use this. And if I was going to purchase something that was going to be a little bit larger than the narrow, like the A5, those tend to be a little bit more expensive. I would definitely be like, Mark, this is the binder that you are using. You are going to be using this for a while. You're getting your money's worth before I would purchase it. The refills and things like that, not worried at all. They're about $6.50. You get so many different pages. There are a lot of different accessories as well that you can get for these. You have the individual dividers, you have the elastic band that you can purchase, you have the dry erase insert, and even though that doesn't fit inside of here, I actually use this all the time on my desk. It's just a really, really cool accessory to have, and I wish that I had my A5 to put this inside of, because I really do feel like I would use this all of the time. The other question I get is, are you still using the plotter? And I've mentioned it a few times that I definitely use the plotter often, but I've used it most often when I was planning for the Creative Block Party. And as we're getting ready and ramping up to start planning that again, I actually just created a brand new project planner inside of here for it, moved my notes and archived them from last time, and I'm rocking and ready to go to start jotting down notes and putting more information inside of there as well. I don't know that I would necessarily use this every single day. I've tried content planners before. I've tried it with a few other brands, and I just doesn't really kind of like work with things. I like having everything inside of my bullet journal, and that works out okay with me, or even on my phone for some content planning and social media. I definitely love, though, collecting ideas inside of here. I have an entire collection, an entire project folder of freebie ideas, video ideas, and it is a really great way for me to kind of bring everything together. The problem that I have is that I also do that in some other notebooks as well, whether I'm jotting down blog ideas or a video outline. I have a larger notebook that I use to write them inside of because, like I said before, there's not a whole lot of room to really write down long form in here. Maybe an outline, a few bullet points, things along that that line, but I can't really use that to generate ideas and then also execute on ideas. It just doesn't quite work together as well as I would want it to personally. But I also think that I use this a lot because I'm not feeling forced to use this. And that is something that's really important to me. When I've used a content planner in the past where I felt like I had to write everything down inside of there, it became almost more like a chore than fun to do because I was like, oh, I didn't write that down. Let me go over here and write that in. Oh, I didn't cross that off on my calendar. I take a much easier approach when using the plotter. I just use it when I need it. I don't feel obligated to use it. And I always know that I can come back to it and grab any ideas out of it to then execute somewhere else. If I were to use it more though, I would definitely want that A5 size. I really do feel like that would be the right thing for me personally. But again, there are a lot of different options that you can check out. Overall, I absolutely have loved using the plotter, and I'm going to continue to use this as well. I love the inserts, and as they release new products, I'm definitely going to keep my eyeballs out for those. I feel like I'm still refining the way that I use this and really finding what I like and don't like about it. And that's exactly what a planner should be in a binder, is that you can change it up. Your ideas change, your needs change, and it needs to be able to change with you. I definitely think that the plotter can. If you're interested in learning anything more, if you think like, okay, you told me, Mark, now I know how it worked for you, I feel more comfortable with this, you can head over to plotterusa.com. You can check out all of the products on their website, both all of their binders. That's what you're going to need first to put all the refills into. And like I said, there are a number of different sizes and a number of different leather options as well. So you can take a look through the colors and also the details on each of those because they are very much thought about in the overall design of the brand as well. The refills, it's all on there for you. Not every refill, though, is available for every size. So like I said before, if you think that the dry erase is something that you want, this works inside of the A5 size. It doesn't work inside of the narrow or the Bible and anything smaller than that. So just make sure you're paying attention on the website to what it is if you're purchasing a few things. As always, thank you so much for checking out this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, maybe not as far apart, make sure that you're hitting that bell and subscribing. I have a lot of really cool products and videos coming up in the near future and some other awesome reviews. I, of course, have my base bullet journal and having my weekly spreads and thinking of new ideas, but I'm also trying to expand also into other productivity and other just lifestyle pieces as well. I just love this stuff, so I love talking about it. If you are an avid plotter fan or you've been thinking about plotter at all and you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below and I can reply and we can share some of our experiences about plotter and this brand and overall what's worked for us. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and I'll talk to you very soon. Happy planning.